So I welcome you all on behalf of Adore on this webinar conducted by Dr. Indu Prakash Singh. I'm very sorry for the delay as the participants are still joining in. So I would like to give a brief introduction of Dr. Indu Prakash Singh. But before that, I would like to introduce the organization which gave me the opportunity to conduct and contact Dr. Indu Prakash Singh. So Adore is a global youth organization where college students like us motivate the youth around us and help them and help them to conduct their social responsibility. So today we have Dr. Indu Prakash Singh for our WiseTalk webinar, and if I would be able to give a brief introduction for him, as he is a very renowned person, a very renowned social activist who has done a lot in his life and is still doing it. He is a Corona Warrior of 2020. He has won Devatva Award in 2017, Excellence Award in 2019. Neelkant Samman was given to him in 2018 for the Democracy Defender. He is the distinguished alumnus of University of Delhi, and he has also been given the CNN IVN Citizen Journalist Award. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to Adore and conducting this webinar for us. I am very excited to hear your stories, hear your experiences and learning from you. I hope everyone here is excited.
Thank you, Aditi. And thank you, Adore, for inviting me for this very important talk. And yes, and I chose this topic on volunteering because I think it's very important for us to really understand what it is all about, And my topic for the talk, and first of all, I think Adore had the tagline of motivating youth for positive action. So I think much of my talk would be also on that only, and my talk actually is going to be on personal transformation to social transformation, the promise of volunteering. Okay. And I think, it's very important that, and of course, as I begin the talk, I'll try to switch to both English and Hindi. I'm comfortable with both languages. And if you've got any questions and all, you can pose the questions in English, Hindi. It's okay with me. Two is, that I would want a lot of participation from all of you. If you've got any questions, please do ask me questions. Are never absurd, never bad, nothing good, never good. Questions are questions, So don't feel odd that you're raising a question which might, not be okay. So please, I think, do ask the questions. It might rise to you in your mind after what I've spoken to you, okay? And I just want to begin saying that many of us engage in volunteering when we are pretty young, like many of you are young at the moment. There are young people around. And it's nice to talk to all the young people because, of course, I wouldn't say the young people are, the future of the country, future of the world. Young people are actually now for the universe, for everyone as such, and they are the people who decide the present situations of any country for the matter. So just to say, let's do why the personal dimension of volunteering is very important, like you want to bring about change in society and you want to say everything good, but at times we fail to realize that we are going into society. Have we worked on ourselves? It's very important, like if I am not, well sorted out, if I have got negative attitudes in my head, if I hate myself, if I hate the world, the issue would be that maybe I would not be bringing transformation into society. I might be actually generating more negativity. So the personal dimension of the work is very important, So I'll come to some principles and values of the work that we do. I'll come to that. Just to quickly tell you that, for a person like me, I got into, of course, my father was a freedom fighter, Wing Commander D.D. Singh. And we heard lots of stories about his struggle and all that. And many of you from Kolkata, my father did his BEE from Jadavpur University. And he chose to do from Jadavpur University because it was Gandhi's call to boycott the British, universities and colleges and all, That time Presidency College was a British college. So my father chose Jadavpur University. So I think we got much of these things, the fervor and the flavor of national feminist struggle from our own parents, I would say, what changed and brought me into the social dimension of action was that, during my college days, one of my friend's sister, Madhu Janji or Madhu Khosla, was burned to death. Okay. And it was a dowry death case, and we took pictures of her. And I think when you're hardly 20, 21, the same age that many of you are today, Aditi and all of you, I think it surely shakes you very badly, and so I still have the doll that she had made and gifted to me when I had met her in her GK house. My friend Raman Jhanji is still a friend, of course. So that was something which made me really look in terms of as to why these things go on in society. And that pushed me very early days into women's rights, women's movement, and being a man into women's movement. I had my own questions about patriarchy, about inequality in society. And so the work started working with my own self, how can I be a better person? Having the humility, having non-violence as one mechanism. So the principles I would say that has really guided me in the work has been the same principles they talk about, the same principles that Constitution of India talks about, the same principles that Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948 talks about, or the values that we have imbibed from our own culture, from Gandhi, Tagore, Vivekananda, then Martin Luther King, Mandela, Tagore, and Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, all these people. I think it's the value that I would say is very important is about being truthful, having faith, having love for all. We should be having no boundaries at all, whether of caste, class, race, religion, region, language, dress, food, habits, whatever. Believe in equality and equity, rather. Respect for all genders, the gender spectrum they talk about, not just the male and female, but the transgenders and the LGBTQIA community as well. Having no prejudices, no biases, not operating with a big I. We all go out in the field saying, I did this, I have come to solve society's problems. Without me, there can be no solution to any problem. I think this big I has to go and has to become a we. We all need to learn to work together, learn to build teams and take everyone with us, Then we have to have a very strong commitment for justice and dignity. And of course, we should be open to learning from all. It's not that, all education, whether we do a BA or a master's, like I did my two masters, philosophy and sociology, my MPhil and everything else, and my books and all that. Every learning that we do, I think is actually to make us better human beings, to not lose the humility. And I would surely, you all must have heard about, the Bhakti Kal, leaders that we had, like Kabir Das and all these people. Kabir makes some very important, he says a couple of things, which I would say guides you all, guides me also. Like, something like, Pothi Parpar Jagmuma Pandit Bhayana Koe, Dhai Akhar Prem Ka Pade So Pandit Koe. That is, if we just learn the basic thing about love, that is all we need to learn, We don't need to read books and books and books, tomes of stuff and all, and become nasty and become negative, become criminals, This other thing is very important for any volunteer, is that, I think you all must have read this, and then really there are other saints who have spoken about it. And, we'll have our own regional variations on that. Like, there's this thing about where it says, Bura jo dekhan main chala, bura na miliya koe, jo man khoja apna, musse bura na koe. That is, I have been in search of bad people. And actually, I find nobody as bad other than my own self. So I think, if these things we learn, these things we realize in a life, I think that maybe the bad is in us and we need to make it better. We need to work on us and make it better. Only then the society will transform. So it's very important for us to learn some of these things, Then also, of course, there's other thing, that we all happens is there's somebody, you got somebody in your friend circle who is actually a critic, who tells, well, this is not good about you, this is not bad, this is not okay and all that. And what we do, we keep the person out of our lives. Actually, here again, Kabir is a very good way of studying that Nindak nire rakhiye angan kuti chhawaye bin sabun pani bina nilmal kare subhai. That is, keep the critic very close to your house. Maybe make a small room for him or her, so that the critic will cleanse you without water and without soap. I think so. Somehow this, I would say, this worldly wise sayings of people, of whether Middle Ages or present times, like read Tagore, read Gandhi, read Martin Luther King, Mandela, they all have spoken about these things, of fighting the devils amongst us. And only when you fought the devils amongst us, we have cleansed ourselves of our negativities. All that we move on to do in society will surely be making society a much better place. So, like, obviously, I would say that we have to be 100% positive, and ready to face the challenges. It is not as though you'll not come across challenges. In fact, in over 40 years of work we have done, I would say we have faced thousands and lakhs and millions of challenges, but we have not faced one challenge which could defeat us. So we were above the challenge. It's very clear. So every challenge is a stepping stone for success for us, So we don't get stopped by a challenge. And however bigger the challenge it may be, whether it's a bureaucrat, whether it's a judge, whether it's police, whoever it may be, I think we have to face it upfront, talk it out loudly with courage. I'll come to certain values and all. It's very important that, I think, know what we are doing. Just to give you some example, I think I'll just, bring in some example here that you all, like I say in Delhi, because in the online forums, you don't realize where one is talking from. So you must have heard, many things about Delhi is famous for. Like Delhi is famous for road rage, like one brush with your car or scooter or something, and the person will short be killed. There'll be bash up and there'll be whole hue and cry, and you face the music. So I just want to tell you that, I think it happened once with me also, where I was going to a place called Defense Colony. There's a place called Kutlam Barapur. I was going on my own Maruti 800, and my car brushed against another Skoda, in fact, a big car. And there was this girl who was driving. She came out of the car and said that you'd pay 500 rupees because you dented my car. So I said, please take the car away a bit, on the side, so that we can just, negotiate, talk about it. And there was huge jam piling on because it was 6 o'clock in the evening, and 6 and all is huge jam in Delhi, like in peak hours. And then the boyfriend of the girl came and said, sir, aapko dena padega. I said, hum jayenge nahi. Somebody else from the other car saying to this girl and the boy that, aap kuch kam mang rahi hai kya? You're asking very less. And then she got very wild and said, shut up, don't talk like that. So anyhow, I took out the money and gave to this boy, because then the girl had gone back to the car. And in the meanwhile, because about 10 days ago, I'd done Vipassana and come out from Vipassana. I'm talking 2010. Okay. Yeah. And at that moment, the thought was of total anger, that the person's taken 500 rupees from me. It will not serve her well at all. Bhagwan isko bura karna, and all those things went on in my head. And all of a sudden, I think the Vipassana which I'd done, I think it came in the sense that I would say the universe was there supporting me. And the thought came that, no, don't curse them. Just bless them. And I can tell you, the emotion that I had was, please let the money do them good. It's okay. My car brushed against the car. No harm as such. I'm perfectly fine with the money that I given to them. It's not big amount either, but no, not small amount either, of course. And the magic? We had a red light at a flyover, and at that red light, I get a knock at the window of the car, on the left door. I pull down the glass, and the same guy standing with the 500 rupees in his hand, in his fingers, saying that, sir, please take the money back. I said, but why? You want to give the money back to me? He said, no, sir, you're too nice. We can't take the money from you. I said, listen, I'm fine with it. I have reconciled with the idea that I gave you, and I think, it's okay with me. Don't worry. He gave the money back to me. We exchanged our cards, of course, and then, of course, I did talk to him a week later that if everything's okay, if you have to still pay, I can pay for it. No, sir, sorry for what happened that day. We're perfectly fine. So the idea that I want to give you here is that, when you do social action, social work and all that I talk about, when you're volunteering actually, at whichever age you are, somewhere we need to give up anger. We need to be 100% positive about finding solutions. And if you are in the present moment 100% aware of a thing, surely there'll be no problems. You might encounter problems, you might encounter challenges, but in fact, all that will be taken care of. So I think I've got many instances to share as such, but I don't want to bore you with my stories and all. In fact, when you have certain questions, I'll surely talk about it. This other thing which I want to say here is that that as volunteers is very important. That we try to say that, okay, I've got large number of friends. I'm perfectly fine, and then if some friend is not happy with me or okay with me, then you get really sad and all that. I realized one thing, because I'm also a poet, by the way. I write a lot. I realized one thing, that before you befriend anybody in the world, you have to be a friend to your own self. If you're a friend to your own self, you'll be friend to the entire world. But if you have a negative view about yourself, I think even the world can't be a friend to you. So it's very important, that I think when you engage in this work that we're doing, we need to, one is that have positive ideas about our own self as to who we are. Don't have a negative thing about you, whether how you perform in the exams, what happens, what your parents tell you, what your friends tell you, should actually not matter to you. Who you are is very important. You are somebody, a bundle of energy, passionate about change, and you want to make things happen. And you want to make things happen because you have sorted things out in your head, and you want the world to be what you dream about. Want to be just, want to be equal, where people should love each other, this divide of caste, class, and all that. So there should be nothing which actually stops you from all this. So it's very important that cultivate the positive values as such. Is very important. Two is that I've realized from my own work that never backbite anyone. If there's anything negative about a person that you're told that you should talk about the negativity in front of the person as such. If you don't have the guts of telling the person that you're wrong or this is not right about you, then please don't talk about it, because much of volunteering is actually being courageous, having the courage, having the truth to tell 10 people that if they're wrong, they're wrong. You don't change your statement because you think, oh my God, what will they say? No. But you have the courage to tell something which is wrong in front of the person, never at the back of the person. I think that's a very important thing, it's required. And for many of us who work in this field, like I have I've been part of the women's movement. I worked with the people who sleep on footpaths of Delhi and other cities for the last 20 years. We started the work in Delhi from year 1999, and all the shelters that you see in Delhi and other parts of the country is due to the work that we did, not Indu Prakash Singh, but we as a team did. I had a team of about 10 people. We expanded our work with large number of other people, other organizations, and that's how the work unfolded. So it's very important that the work we do, there is a buy-in of the work with large number of people who may be connected or may not be connected to the work. So it's like somewhere we have to give up that big I that we have into we. So my language doesn't become, I did this. It's we did it. Even if suppose I have done it, individually have done it, I will never use the word I. I think that breaks and shatters the work we do. So as a volunteer, remember, you might do everything, but if somebody has supported you, be very careful with the choice of the words that you use. Even if suppose somebody has given you a glass of water or tea or something, that we did this work together. And the person who may have not have contributed anything will say, oh my God, okay, he's saying we, or she's saying we, which means includes us also, all of us sitting here in this room have contributed to this work. Imagine at one stroke with one word, you get support of 100 people in the room that is sitting with you, listening to your talk or whatever, So I would say our work should be such that it creates partnerships, creates participation of everyone in the work, and that nobody's scared of you of usurping the credit of the contribution that they make, So that's one thing. And then I think what Gandhi has spoken, what Jiddu Krishnamurti has spoken. Yeah, you want to say something, Aditi?
Yes, so I have a question. Like initially,
Yes.
I thought of a question of asking you, but you answered it. But sir, what do you think? Like according to you, what's the one quality every volunteer should possess? Like that should be there no matter what. Like as you said, courage and team spirit. But what's the one main thing that they should have? Like I have this question.
Yeah. I think thank you, Aditi, for asking this question. I think one word which is key to any volunteer is humility. Humility, you have to be humble in the work you do, which means, and by the way, humility means courage. If you're courageous, you'll have humility. Because if you don't have humility, you're arrogant, you're so insecure about yourself, So only when you have humility, you are able to do the work, be 100% present, and every work that you do actually outshines, because the other person is not taking you as a challenge. He's not taking it as a threat. You're humble enough in involving everybody in the work, And actually, Aditi, the issue is also we are engaging in volunteering, right? So as a volunteer, if suppose I'm arrogant, that okay, I'm doing this, I'm very important, and I brought the change. Just imagine the language and the body language we have. This big I is the biggest enemy for the entire work. So humility, I would say, is the key. If you have humility, you, I would say, have all the other positive values in your life, in yourself.
So I would ask anyone that, do anyone have any questions from sir? Anyone from our participants? If you have.
Hello, this is Anil Sardana.
Oh,
so I'm very
yes.
happy. I'm very happy to listen to you, Dr. Indu Prakash ji. And one thing which has touched me, and your topic itself is very good. But you use the word that whether you read anybody, any scholar, Mahatma Gandhi, Mandela, or anyone, everybody talks about to control your devil or to change your devil to a better person from inside. That is the real challenge of life, So how do you suggest that? What is that one should do? I'm not asking a question. We want to listen to you, and we want to see your observation and your views on this. Would you like to dwell on this, or would you like to guide the people whosoever are listening to you for this cause?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Anil Sadana. In fact, Dr. Anil Sadana is the principal of Shahid Bhagat Singh College, Morning in Delhi. And
I have a listener here now to you.
No, but I'm glad you're here, Dr. Anil Sadana. That only shows that how keen you are to listen and learn about these things. I think my answer would be that I do my meditations every day. I do meditate. Every morning I do that. And when you meditate, you get answers to many of your questions in life.
Yes.
You get solutions to many of the worries that you have, and that actually links you to the universal energies that are there in the world, and you get to know that you're not alone in this world. There are universal forces and powers that support your work. So it's very important when I'm saying of humility, Dr. Sadana, it's very important that we are humble enough in accepting all the energies that come from the universe, and that you're not alone in this. You're together with everybody else.
Talking to yourself and connecting you to the universe through meditation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, sir. Please proceed. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very happy to hear you.
Thank you. Please be there and do come again. Huh? Yeah. So I think thank you, Aditi. If there are any questions further, you can ask, or otherwise I'll just begin with also saying, that see, for many of us, it's very important that we should walk the talk. That is, it is not that I only speak, but if and talk the walk. It's same thing actually. If you speak something, do that. Otherwise, don't speak about it. So it's like you are walking the talk, which means you are adhering to what you believe in life, what you do as such, So you can't be arrogant and then say that I love everybody, or, you can't, hate somebody and say that, no, I am perfectly fine with everybody else and the world is perfectly fine. Two, I feel, in terms of, I think, it's also important is that we need to be open to learning from all. See, when you say we are volunteering, it is not as though I'm entering the field as a big expert. Okay. Even if suppose I'm an expert, I'm a sociologist. Okay. I've done my master's in sociology and all that, my research and everything, sociology, books and all. But when I'm going to the field, I am going as a learner. I'm going to learn from the people. And one thing I want to quickly tell you here, I would say over 40 years of the work I've done with the people and 20 years work with the homeless people in Delhi and the cities, I can tell you all my masters, my MPhils and research and everything comes to zero in front of what I've learned from the people of the streets, the poor people who we call so-called poor people, who are resource poor, but they are rich in everything else, So we need to be open, like on footpaths of Delhi that I've been to, they've gone about asking them, about sharing their life and asking them as to about the challenges. And that's how we have been able to create shelters for them. I'm a petition in Supreme Court on the homeless matter. Prashant Bhushan, the well-known advocate, is fighting a case pro bono. And so because the Supreme Court support, a lot of shelters have opened up in the country as such. So this work that again, as I'm saying, we were able to do was because of large support of our own friends, larger civil society, the media, certain bureaucrats who were not working, but we, took up the matter, whether High Court or Supreme Court and all that, they came in to support our work. So the other important thing is, we need to be active listeners, which means when you are in the field, when you're with the people, you're not on a mobile. Your body language has to be also something which shows that you're amenable to what the comments are coming from people, Have empathy, have compassion. Service before self is very important. You know what? Today, I think it's become very fashionable for some of us to abuse people. And in abuses, the most important abuses or the abuses that we have is all, gender specific against women, which is a total no-no. We just need to give up all the gender specific or any abuse for the matter. If you're angry, learn to resolve it your own self. Why do you want to throw your tantrums and your anger on the people? So that's important. And then, as I said earlier, our big I has to become we, which means we need to give up our egos. We need to be egoless. Okay. And by the way, being egoless doesn't mean that you are giving up your individuality or identity. The individuality and the identity which flourish with large number of people coming into your lives. I have certain slogans that I have. So I have certain phrases that I have. There's one that explore yourself and you'll find everyone in yourself. Okay. Similarly, I have mentioned that there should be no backbiting or psychological games or any rackets that we play. We should have courage of conviction in all conditions, that what you feel is wrong come what may, that we don't chicken out. I have faced situations where the police has caught me by my collar and said, "Andar chal batata hu." I said, "Please remove your hand. You can't touch me like that." And the guy was drunk. I said, "Listen, you are drunk. You dare not." And he's got pistol also with him. I said, "You dare not touch me like that. Please remove your hands." And then we had the case going on in the High Court. We filed a complaint against the police chap in the police station. The case was mentioned the High Court, and this guy was suspended. It's like that when you're on the right track, you're doing no crime. You have to fight for the rights of the people that you're working with, and for your own rights as well. Okay. So then, of course, also we're not perfect. We may commit mistakes. Okay. And by the way, I wouldn't say I'm a 100% perfect person. I'll have my own weaknesses. And I don't know in this life whether I'll be perfect at all or not. I don't want to be perfect at all. I might be having human weaknesses, but the idea is we need to accept our weakness. We need to accept our mistakes. If you've committed a mistake, just say sorry to the person. There's no ego in saying sorry, by the way. And I have this very, again, a quotation that it's come to me through meditations and all that the universe guides me. It's like somewhere, like when you talk about forgiveness, you forgive people also. Somebody who has hurt you, somebody who has insulted you, forgive them, because anger is too heavy for you. So I have this thing like, forgiveness is a balm which you apply on others and relief you get. And for hatred, what my personal philosophy of life is, hatred is a poison which we drink and want the others to die. Okay, why we do this? So when we are engaged in the noble work of volunteering, I think we surely have to spread peace everywhere that we go. Have no animosity as such. Have solidarity with the resource poor. Never getting angry, hassled or embittered. Build fantastic teams of people, girls, boys, transgender, LGBT, whoever, doesn't matter. People are important, not their caste or class or religion or dress or language, doesn't matter really. Okay.
Sir, I have a question actually.
Yes, Aditi, please go ahead.
So, sir, like I have seen a lot of social activists, like on Facebook, Instagram, we come across a lot of things.
Right.
But the courage with which you fight, like I came to know about you through LinkedIn and through the Google posts and through a fellow volunteer who's not present today. So she just gave me your name. I researched about you. Okay. So you fight for people, like literally you go down on the road to just be there physically and fight for them. Like the question which I have right now is, how do you get the courage to do that? Because people are like, jo hoga dekha jayega, unka kaam hai, they'll sort it out by themselves. But you go, you see things and you fight for them. Like, how do you get this courage and why do you want to do this?
Okay. Aditi, thanks for raising this very important question. First of all, I think the words that we also use are very important. You said, I think we don't fight for people, we fight with the people. We fight, so that their rights are ensured, And I just want to show you here. I think this is a book on my better half, Renuka, who we lost last year due to COVID. She passed away. And I want to give you a story of her. She also been a tremendous social worker. She worked with about 2,000 girls in Anup Shahar Patanjali Society. And I want to give you one instance of how she fought, the lumpen elements close to her house, and then I'll come to, what gives the courage and all. Like at about 10 o'clock in the night, she's coming from her parents' house. And I'm there in Kerala for a PRA training. It's about 2008 I'm talking about. And then she, of course, she calls me, tells the entire trip. When she comes home, she parks the car, she finds a group of people with bats and pistols and knives, bashing up a couple of group people, Now, she was about 5'4", 5'5". My son was about, 11, 12 years. And my daughter was about, 3-4 years. She puts the daughter inside the gate of the colony that, our house. She and my son, they walk up to those guys who are fighting. One guy who's got pistol in his hand, she goes and holds his hand by her two hands and she tells me, Indu, uska haath mere pakad mein nahi aa raha tha, itna mota haath tha uska. And she says, aap log yahan pe goli nahi chalaoge, you're not going to kill anybody. Dare you do that? Can you believe? All the other people in my colony, hefty guys and all, hurly-burly chaps, men, the patriarchal men, जो पंजाबी बोलते हैं, पंजाबी पुरुष जो इतना खाते पीते हैं, मस्त, हाँ, मुस्तान बिल्कुल जो है, they didn't have the courage to enter. My son also entered, was barely about 11, 12 years, and they both, but she and him, they were able to get the fight off. This never came till half an hour, and that man's life got saved, and he still calls me when he got to know that Renuka is no more. Bhaiya, ye meri didi kyun chali gayi? Bhagwan ko mujhe lena tha, whatever. And he's saying, Bhaiya, that these guys came to bash him up because he fought against sexual harassment of a girl of the colony as such. Okay. So now, see, somewhere what happens, Aditi, is that I wanted to give a story because, like not that only that I have done it, but my better half has done it, who's no more. Plus, there are many other people in our society who have done it. I think, you know, when we are on the right path, when we walk the path with truth, when we work for the people, when we work with the people who have got nothing to lose, you know, and who want the rights, it gives you courage enough, you know. I have been on the streets of Delhi at about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We used to have night vigils, Aditi, from about 9 o'clock in the night till early morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And we have seen Polish people bashing up homeless. We have seen dead bodies in the streets of Delhi. And I remember those nights, I used to cry alone in the night, walking the footpaths and all. Ki, hey, Ishwar, rasta batao kya kare hum? You know, there was no way that time, you know, in 2000, there were no shelters. Okay. It was and there were no shelters. Can you believe it? Delhi is the rape capital of the country. Delhi had no shelters for homeless women. Do you know that? You know, and this is 2000 talking about. मतलब हमारा वो international you know, the decade for the women had passed away in 85. सब कुछ हो गया था. Beijing का conference हो गया था. But not a single shelter for homeless women in Delhi in 2000 talking about. Today we have got many shelters for homeless women. So it wasn't. See, again I tell you. See, we are passionate people. We have humility. But there was, I would say, a positive anger for the change. We were unhappy with what's happening in society. Like the same anger that maybe Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad had. We are not that great as them as such, who gave up their lives. We are not giving them lives still. Okay. So that is what gives you courage. We have fought with the police on the street when they're bashing a homeless. What right you have got to beat the homeless people? We filed complaints against them. You know, there are many stories where we empower the homeless people to walk to the police stations at 3 a.m. in the night and file a police complaint in Lahori Gate police station. You know, so much of the work actually, Aditi, happened in the nights of Delhi when Delhi is totally dead, and much of a work with the homeless was happening in the night when nobody in the city was bothered about homeless people. You know, so that gave us the courage, and I would say that is what allows us to go on even till date. You know, because we still see that there's a lot yet to be done, and that's the reason why I'm happy to talk to all of you, because you know, it is not to say how great we are, but then I see each one of you as doing much better things than what we did. You know, like you all have got dreams, you got a lot of promises, and it's very important that young people like you all do your best. Don't get rattled by our society, which has got all kinds of problems. Okay, if you are the thing is, you should be immune from these problems. If you're immune from it, then you can bring in change. Not to worry. You know, so don't let the problems of society ever overwhelm you. You are greater than the problems of the society put together.
So I would just like to say that I'm very sorry to hear about your wife, but hearing from you about her, I just think that she was great and you are very lucky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my thing is that if she could do it, Aditis of the world, there are many other girls and all can do it. You know, I think you know, and it's very great responsibility for the boys and all also in the society to also improve themselves. You know, like give up our patriarchy, give up our male privilege, and be better human beings. You know, so I think it's time that we created better societies as such. You know, and you know, so I think that's it. Please, any further questions you have, you know, sure, please do ask.
Is anyone having any questions? They may turn on their mic and ask, or just drop it in the chat box. So we do have a question that's from Bhavani.
Yeah.
And she's asking, what is the difficulty you faced and you are facing till now in volunteering process?
Okay. See, you know, I think I would say, you know, the difficulty that we faced and it's still we are facing is, you know, see somewhere, you know, there's good IAS officers, but not all are good. So the biggest problem that we face is the bureaucracy, you know, who when they join the civil services, I think so many of you are aspiring also, should aspire to get into civil services, you know, IAS and IFS and IPS and all that. But there's something which goes on when you become that officer that kills you, that destroys you as a person. So you should not allow that to happen. So the biggest problem that we have faced is dealing with the bureaucracy. Like, I can tell you, we had one, I'll name this person, he's no more, but I think he should be held responsible for what he said at that point. We were asking for 71 shelters. This man cut off the demand for 71 shelters in 2009, I'm talking about, saying that, okay, Delhi, no, we'll have 17 shelters. And you know what comment he makes? I think, well, Aditi, you stay in Kolkata, but you must be aware about the winters of Delhi, right? Or winters of Kolkata also, right? And it's very cold, right? So when we said we require more shelters for homeless people because Delhi is going to get cold and all by the reports and all in 2009 talking about, he makes a comment. And by the way, he was revenue secretary. He went on to be the chief secretary in 2014. He makes a comment, दिल्ली में ठंड पड़ती है, ठंड होती है आनंद लेने के लिए. Now, revenue secretary who becomes the chief secretary in 2014 and also in 2015, he has a perception, imagine such a decadent and I think, faulty perception. Now, we had to fight against, and by the way, not that, well, he's gone, he's no more the chief secretary. A few years, I think ago, he passed away also. But the idea is this mindset continues. Many of our bureaucrats, many of our administrators, many of our police officials have the same view about the poor people. अरे ये लोग काम करना चाहते हैं, चोर उचक्के लोग हैं, निकट्टू लोग हैं, और have you ever gone to the people to talk to them? Have you ever gone to person who are poor in the slums or on the footpaths to talk to them as to why they are there? Why? You all know about this COVID thing that happened, the huge migration that took place from cities when there was lockdown happening in 2020, the first lockdown, first phase. So see, also Aditi, we don't call them. In fact, I have got this book, which is my fifth book, called City Makers. We don't call the homeless people as homeless. We call them city makers. That they made city with certain labor. So when the lockdown happened, there were migrants from all across the country trying to go back to the homes. And what did the government do? Total mess up. There's total chaos. Okay, so the issue is these people who have contributed to cities' growth, to cities' economy, need to be dealt with in a humane manner, dealt with love and kindness. But where does all the love and kindness go, Aditi, when these people are in power, whether it's politicians, whether it's officials? I fail to understand. Thankfully, in Delhi, we have got the CM Arvind Kejriwal, who is also a friend of ours, who has supported our work in a big way. And thankfully, we got better shelters now. But there was one point when we had Sheila Dikshit, the chief minister, and others, we had a horrible time. So if you have got administrators and politicians who don't imagine, who can't understand the situation, you are up for huge issues, but huge problems. But somehow again, Aditi, one thing I would say here, that we need to be die-hard optimists. Never give it to any challenge. So for us, whichever challenge was posed to us, we went beyond the challenge. So you pose challenge to us, okay, we go beyond it. You want to humiliate us? Please do humiliate us. We are sold to the cause, not to our ego. You may call me 10 names. You may abuse me. Doesn't matter. But dare you abuse the cause. Dare you call homeless people cheats and thugs and all. Then we're not going to leave you. We'll take you to the court and then you'll see defamation against you people, So that courage of conviction, that you have a conviction, you are aware of what you're doing, and that conviction gives you the courage. The solidarity with the poor, with the resource poor, with the Dalits, the tribals, the Muslims, the women, the children, gives you the courage.
Does anyone have any questions? Bhavani is saying thank you.
Oh, thank you, Bhavani. Thank you for asking that very important question.
Anyone else?
I think it's.
Am I audible?
Yes, Simran, you are. Simran, is very low.
Now is it fine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, you said that you should have a courage to say, like, you should have a courage to say what is wrong and what is not. So like there is a saying that nothing is wrong and nothing is right. Like if something is right for me, it could be wrong for other person. So let's say there is a situation where some things are wrong for me, but I want to speak for that, but I know that other person is not going to like that. So like, what should I do in that situation? Should I shut up my mouth, or like, what should I do?
Oh, good. Sam, thank you, Simran, for asking the question. Now I'll give you an answer with one again instance. So the same DM Spolia was there in a meeting when the High Court took up a matter, suo motu, in 2010. So the High Court asked, please sit with the organization that works in the homeless. So we were there in the meeting where the Chief Secretary of Delhi was sitting, and this man DM Spolia was there in the meeting. And for all because I wanted to maintain the decorum of the meeting, so I kept quiet and I spoke my points and all that. And when the meeting was being called off, it was ending. Then and then the people were started to leave and they got up. Spolia is coming in front of me, and I said to him, Mr. Spolia, I'm angry with you. I'm loud enough. Huh? People are still in the room. They've got up to leave the chairs and all, and the Chief Secretary is also there. I said, Mr. Spolia, I'm angry with you. He says, oh, you may be. I said, no, you need to know the reason for why I'm angry. He said, tell me. I said, remember, Mr. Spolia, we had come around 24th of November 2009 asking for shelters, 71 shelters. And then you made a comment about Delhi mein thand padti hai, thand aane lagi hai. You know what he said? Oh, that's my freedom of expression. In front of all the bureaucrats is telling that. Then I said, for that comment of yours, due to what you did, hundreds of people died in the winter months at that point. You should be behind bars for that. He says, mind your language. Now, all this top-notch bureaucrats of Delhi are there. I say, freedom of expression. I use the same term as freedom of expression that he told to me. I said, freedom of expression. That I'm also expressing my freedom, that he should be behind bars, and the Chief Secretary had a smirk on his face that for once somebody was countering him, So his arrogance was handled at that particular moment. So it's like, at times what happens is, at that point in that meeting that we had took place, we came out, we didn't do anything. Okay. Now I was angry, we didn't do anything, but life gives you, an opportunity to show it. So when the opportunity comes, never give up, So that moment, and then that's what I have done. I will just tell you, Simran and Aditi and all, is that, since I meditate, I know that, as his human body, I don't have those many energies. I will have universal forces to guide me. Universal forces are not of any religion. They are there for, we call them any name. I think that energy is there, in us, in the universe. Just, I think invoke those energies, in you, that, okay, now please guide me in handling this situation. I can tell you, you'll get the courage. The courage is there in the Constitution of India, which tells you to fight for the equality, justice, and dignity of the people. The Articles 14, 15, 19, 21, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights gives you the courage. I was in 2020 in the United Nations for a meeting, and the UN I spoke anti-CAA and anti, national, against the government policies and all that. So when you get the opportunity, never mince words, be very clear and use the opportunity to say what is wrong, and then of course, like what's happening to like Zubair, who has had 5 cases against him, today the Supreme Court said that don't file cases against him like that, have proper evidence and all. So somewhere I think it's very important for many of us and for all of you who are volunteering, don't have the unnecessary fears, हम बोलेंगे ये तो ये हो जाएगा. आपको अगर लगता है कुछ गलत हुआ है, अगर आप उसके सामने नहीं बोल सकते हो, तो take time, शायद अभी नहीं, maybe be in prayer, you'll get the courage. And when the time comes, do speak, don't leave it for tomorrow. It's like that, there'll be moments, there'll be occasions when you get this feeling within you, the voice in you tells you, मत चूको चौहान, वो चौहान चंद बरदाई वाला है ना वो, that now don't spare, go and speak the truth, and that change will happen because you have got the conviction of what you're speaking about. You have the conviction of the words that you have. And the other person will also change because you are saying, having transformed yourself. So the change is a process where when you change, the other person also changes. But if you don't change, your words will convey no meaning to the person. The person will बोलेगा, यार ये हमको उल्लू बनाने आ रहे हैं ना, बस अभी उल्लू सीधा कर रहे हैं, बोल के जा रहे हैं. But every word will have the conviction, because when you say walk the talk, is that the other person is intelligent. He or she can feel through your body language if what you're saying is in sync with what you feel also,
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
I have one question. Sir, there are many times when we talk to our parents, but they don't really understand what we go through. Like there are parents that do understand what we go through, and then there are parents that don't understand what we go through. So it's like, how, with all the things that are happening around us, right? All the crime and all that stuff, all the negativity that's surrounding us right now, there are things that our parents just don't seem to understand that we understand. So how do we convince our parents that, this is right, this is wrong? Like how do we convince our parents that, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong, without having clashing opinions?
Yeah. Something I think is very important at times, that I think when you have your near and dear ones, I think you have to be a bit more patient, and so if they are persistent about telling you you're wrong, you need to be persistent in saying that you're right. I don't think so. And someday I think in due course they'll realize, with your conviction, when you're saying a particular thing which is right for a couple of months and all, they realize that you are on it, and they will give in. I know it's an easy process, it's difficult, but I think, see, even parents, whatever, they're part of society. They might think that, okay, you've just got something which is a fashionable idea, and you are trying to just fashion your life on the fashionable idea. But the fashionable idea that you have actually is something you're passionate about, which you think is key to your being and existence, and your life speaks about it, and you are sold to it, and that's your persona. They will get that gradually. So you don't have to resist unnecessarily, don't have to abuse them, just work, just be patient. I think the Gandhian doctrine, of that don't be in a rush, try to transform the person. Okay, like if the person is not listening to you today, work on it, and just persist on that, and things will change, because there's no ready-made solution to it. Like we have done it in our own, see, many times, in our own families and all, we have faced issues and all. So at times when arguments take place, I think, you have to put your point of view. I think this is what I think, So they might try to say, no, that's wrong. Say, okay, let's agree to disagree, right?
Right.
We agree to disagree. Fair enough. We'll come back to it later. Take it 2 days later, 3 days later, and work on it, and allow them the space to also to understand what you're saying, and tell them, listen, this is what I'm trying to say, and then try to have more time to build the arguments, and work through parents of your other friends as well. Okay, so I think society is very interesting. I think we don't have to hammer our heads on walls that don't listen to us, but use it intelligently and use it persuasively. Things will change. If you are convinced about it, change is bound to happen. You will be the change, like I think what Gandhi and many have said, like, be the change you want to see in the world, So when you be the change, your families will change, your parents will change, everything will change. But yes, it takes time. It's not an easy solution. Again, I think, Priya, in this, only catchphrase is, you have to be a die-hard optimist. A die-hard optimist, never giving up, never saying you're bored, Never saying, oh my God, I'm really, gone. I can't do anything. No, these are not words for us. If you are a true volunteer, you're a true votary of truth, justice, equity, dignity, and all the words that we talk about in the Constitution and UDHR. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madhu. Thank you. I think one or two lessons working with the homeless people. I want to say here, like, yes, I tell you that, when I used to work, there was this one person. I've dedicated my book to one person called, one second, let me just tell I think Umar Mia. He was a person whom I used to meet towards Paharganj, and every Eid and all, when I used to meet him, बोलते थे भैया मुझे नए कपड़े भिजवा देना, मैं ईद आने वाली है, मैं पहनना चाहता हूँ. So I, instead of using the connections money, I would pay from my own pocket and say कि tell my driver भैया बेटा ऐसा एक जाकर के उनको ये कपड़े दे देना, he wants that, And when I was to meet him, he used to say, Allah आपको हर बला से बचाए and all that. He used to really bless us, And I want to tell you that, there was a time when about one time, my driver who used to drive the van in the night couldn't come. So I was driving my Maruti van at that point, having taken the street children to Chandni Chowk for food, paranthas and all that. 5 in the morning, I'm coming back home and I fall asleep while driving. My Maruti van goes and hits the boundary of the flyover at Mulchan. Then I just wake up, I get out of the car, I put the handbags and everything and go and see. Both the tires of the right side are totally white, which means it has rubbed around the, ramparts of the pool, the flyover. Then anyhow, I see my car starts, I take it back home. And then in the morning, I call my driver, beta isko gaadi ko dikha do ja karke, gaadi accident ho gaya hai. And you won't believe, not one scratch comes to me ever. And the whole chassis of the car actually goes like this, twisted, which it was a heavy impact. And there are vehicles which fall from the flyovers, that so many happens, so many deaths take place. Not one scratch happened to me. And when next time I was visiting Umar Mia, I went and hugged him and said, Umar Baba, आपकी दुआओं से मैं बचा हूँ, and आप जो कहते हो ना खुदा आपको हर बला से बचाए, शायद उसी ने बचाया मुझे जिससे ये काम कर सकूं मैं. So I think the people that we work with, the homeless, the city makers I'm talking about, they're full of love. They will accept it totally and fully. The only thing is we have to give them respect. So if we give them respect, we love them, they get it back, they get it, they give you 1,000 times more what they get from you. One word with full of love saying कि आप कैसे हैं, हम अब सीखने आए हैं, बताइए. They will tell you 10 things. And I can tell you, that's what I said, what I've learned from the homeless people, which means the love, the truth, the faith, everything that I've got from them, I have not gone from any books. So जो कबीर कहते हैं ना, पोती प्रबट जगमुआ पंडित बहन कोई, ढाई अखर प्रेम का पढ़े से पंडित. So that dhai akhar of prem I've got from my homeless people, and that nourishes me. That is something which allows me to do this work 100% and talk to all of you also of spreading the same love in whatever we do. I think let us fill ourselves with a lot of love and passion and compassion and bring about the change in our societies. And it's all possible and all doable. Don't get embittered. Don't get negative. Right? That I learned from the homeless people.
Do we have any more questions?
Well done, sir.
Oh, Sadhana ji, you're there. Oh my God.
Great. I'm leaving now. I had to go somewhere. Very well done. Great.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Thank you. God bless. Take care. Thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you.
So, sir, I think we don't have any more questions as of now. I really do want this session or this webinar to end, but we are short on time. It was lovely hearing from you. I learned a lot. I think everyone here has learned a lot because they had questions, because they heard you speaking, and it was great. Thank you so much for coming on our platform to do this. And I would like to thank Adore a lot. I am volunteering here since last 2 months, and I am very grateful to get this opportunity to conduct this webinar. And thank you
Aditi.
so much, sir.
And thank you, Aditi, for having me here. It's a sheer pleasure to talk to all of you. And in future, whenever you have any issues, anything, you have my numbers. I think all of you can reach me for any eventuality, any word of advice you want. I'm more than willing to mentor any one of you. So just be there and do the good work you're doing. Zindabad, and God bless you, each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would like to thank each and every participant for joining in and being here and asking questions and listening to sir and being a part of this wonderful session. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you all. And thank you again, sir. It was lovely. I enjoyed it a lot, and people have as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We learned a lot.
Thank you, sir.
So sweet of you. Thank you, Majid. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Simran. Thank you, all of you.